And ultimately, Allison Friedman is someone who believes in fairness, who is a fighter, who I am confident will go to Trenton and fight for the families of our district and not for the special interests. So please give Allison Friedman a very warm welcome.
First, I want to say good afternoon to everybody, and thank you so much for coming out. This turnout is amazing. It is just, I think, a very good omen to see the first day of spring, our campaign launch, and to have this kind of weather and get out of the houses and the rooms that we have become so confined to over the last year. This morning, I had the privilege, and I think it's a privilege, to get my second vaccine shot this morning. And I was able to do that because the Army National Guard was able to set up these mega sites and get everybody in a socially distant fashion, with respect, with kindness, dealing with some people who were nervous about it in a smooth and amazing fashion. And I do consider myself very privileged to have been able to get a shot and be vaccinated at this point. But I do ask everybody if we can take a quick moment and just remember those people who were not so lucky, who we've lost to COVID. We did remarkable with getting the vaccine as soon as we have. The governor, federal government, has been remarkable about vaccinating everybody in quick time. But we must always remember and never forget the people who have lost family, sons, and brothers. If I could just have a moment. Thank you. So the last time I was on these fields, my son was playing baseball over on the fields over there. And that got me thinking about, again, why I got into public service, why I got into this kind of work. And it comes down to watching your kid play travel baseball. It is one of the most rewarding things you can see. It's nothing better than seeing your kid get their first hit. But there is nothing more frustrating and unfair about an umpire who makes a bad call. And it is that unfairness that you could be at odds with the other team as they're ringing their cowbell, but all parents stop and they think, that was unfair. And this is a kid's sport. And fairness is paramount. That doesn't go away when we grow up and we become residents and taxpayers. It's the unfairness that we've seen that we need to address. And that's the reason why I got into public service in the first place. Whether it's advocating for people who are having their worst day of their life, or whether it's being a board member. I am very proud to say that I am currently in my third term as a Board of Education member of Matawan, Aberdeen. When I first got into it, I was told it was the most thankless job you could have. And I gotta tell you, it's been the most rewarding, especially now. For 2 years, I served as board president. I was board president when the schools shut down and when they reopened. And I am so immensely proud of my district for being able to reopen the schools, not just in September with hybrid, but to do it safely, in collaboration with the staff, because our teachers are not just our teachers, they live in our community. They are our people. And that is where I've started to see some of the unfairness. Why is it some towns have been able to open and others haven't? Why are these things happening? And a lot of it comes from lack of direction and lack of advocacy. And it shouldn't be the haves versus the have-nots. And so then we start looking at the money. And where does the money come from? So as many of you probably rely on Facebook or see Facebook for what's going on in town and where you can pick up new items, I've noticed on Facebook every time the tax letter comes out, I don't understand. I just put a doormat down. Why is my house valuation so much more? Why are my taxes so much higher? And it's because of this ADP program, your annual tax assessment. It creates an unfair advantage or disadvantage depending on which side of it you're on, and thanks to our current leaders, we are on the wrong side of the ADP. And it is time that changed. We get mad at umpires for making bad calls. We should get equally as mad at our leaders, our current leaders, for making a bad call. And here's the difference. The difference is you and we and us together can change it. We can change the bad calls. We can take those people who make those bad calls and we can say, we don't want you umpiring this game because you're not doing it fairly. We deserve fair, and that's what we're entitled to. That is what we pay our taxes for. If you want fair, then it's Vincent Salamino, it's Aaron Howard, and it's Allison Friedman, and that will bring fairness. Some of the things that I learned while on the Board of Education, especially during this really trying time, is the importance of listening to people. No matter whether they agree with you or disagree with you, you have to be able to listen. And when I say listen, I mean learn. I mean hear it, and I mean understand what it is people are concerned about. And as much as there are people who would like to see everything go back to normal, there are people who are genuinely concerned about what happens when we go back to normal, or how we do that. And that's one thing that the three of us have in common. We listen, we value, and then we advocate, because you cannot fight for people if you don't know what it is they want. And you should never assume you know what it is they need. So I will end here. If you guys want to stop the bad calls being made for us in this district, if you want a team that will call balls and strikes correctly and fairly, then you want Vincent Salamino as your state senator, you want Aaron Howard as your assemblywoman, and you want them joined by me, Allison Friedman, as your assemblywoman. I thank you very, very much again for coming out.